Hey kids, it's me, Dr. Bob, doing my first IRL stream. Hell yeah, donate to me. Yes, that's what I want. I was invited to E3 so people could say on Twitter, hey, Dr. Bob is at E3, all for the clicks. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. You're awesome, I don't care about you. Hey, all this hard work has me wanting to defecate, you know what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta take a diarrhea. Be right back. Ow. 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 No fair. The other guy didn't get hit.
Hey, it's Soul, looking especially shiny today, and welcome to Warcraft Weekly, the show where I repeat a lot of stuff that I already say on places like forums, streams, and other places, all compressed into one beautiful special place. Thank you to the wonderful sponsors as always, and a big happy birthday to me. Oh yeah, what did I have for my birthday this year? The same as usual, hella good food.
Where's my birthday thing?
You don't get a birthday thing.
Why not?
You're not even alive. Last week you sent your birthday wishes, your well wishes and stuff, and I very much appreciate that. A certain someone though is going to get a little bit of game time from me. SellyGirl63 says, happy birthday dear Soul. I wanted to say that my husband and I love your shows. We watch and like every video. Sometimes we watch it more than once. She goes on to say, you are one of the most positive creators we watch when it comes to Warcraft. Toxicity has caused us to unsub from a few Warcraft YouTubers, but you haven't followed that trend, and we appreciate it more than you know. Just know that you and Bob rock.
Yay.
Don't ever change. Can't wait for your new series. Oh, I love getting all the positive energy. It gets me all juiced up. Power up. Okay, that's done. Let's get to the usual things. Yeah, cool. A new piece of artwork was unveiled this week, this one depicting a female Draenei who we're all pretty sure is Yrel. Only 150 prints will be available for purchase, and predictably it's gone. Lost to the Alliance fans, the Draenei fans, the perverts, so fond of that thick look.
Yeah, like you.
Like Bob ordered it.
You said you wouldn't tell people.
That what, you're a goat lover?
Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I'm gonna die. Ah.
Nice feat. This week it's been announced that Season 2 will be ending soon. Historically, this means Season 2 will end in 2 weeks. Historically, this means a patch will drop in 2 weeks. It's not a guarantee though, I'm just saying. I know, it's the same old song. I've been saying this for like weeks with the anticipation. Oh my god, when is it coming? I mean, you're tired of it, I get it. But it's news.
Good news.
It's very good news. The Guildmaster of US Guild Limit absolutely asserts that the patch is going to drop next week on the 18th, ensuring that Season 2 launches on the 2nd of July, the same week as the upcoming Shadowsbringer expansion for Final Fantasy XIV is expected to release to all players. Now this is a big maybe, considering that this week's PTR build isn't labeled as a release candidate, and we still haven't started that whole patch pre-downloader. But since this show is being produced about a day or so in advance, we'll see how well this message ages. Ooh. In the meantime, Wowhead set out a reminder detailing what is coming in the patch, and then when Season 3 begins 2 weeks later. It's only a 2-week gap though, I don't think it's too much to fret over, but I will assist and I will summarize the differences. In a nutshell, you're not going to see Season 3 content until Season 3 begins. Surprise, surprise. So, the new raid, the new dungeon, Mythic Plus, and the PvP season content will not be accessible at launch. That's also going to mean you're not going to access certain essences and other rewards that are obtained through those places. Now this is speculative, but it's likely that the heroic version of Warfronts won't be accessible either, considering the item level rewards that you get from them. And at the start of the patch, you're going to get everything else. The 2 new zones, access to the Heartforge, new islands, the path to unlocking flight, and presumably the Pet Paddle dungeon. It's still a lot of stuff though. Those 2 weeks are going to zip by before you know it, and if you don't really care for all that stuff, well, it's still just 2 weeks until the season starts. According to a post from Wowhead, it's looking more and more likely that the Vulpera, the fuzzy troll-shaped people native to Vol'dun, will be eligible of becoming a playable allied race. This is all thanks to some uncovered bits of text that put the Vulpera alongside the other allied races. The news comes to little surprise, but it's no less exciting. I mean, we've been seeing hints and indicators that this was going to be a thing, but as you can see from this image here that there are a total of 9 allied races. There is a chance that the Vulpera can become a neutral allied race. So maybe the more native Vulpera could join the Horde, while the more free-spirited Vulpera you find in cool tiers could become allies with the Alliance. You get it? Allies with the the double speak and okay, yeah. The more popular choice for the Alliance would be the cuddly mechagnomes of Mechagon. Even if they're cooperating with both factions in 8.2, all it takes is a single quest line and a single somebody to push the mechagnomes to team up with their fleshy counterparts. And yet, they're not being included in these files as a potential allied race. Blizzard has said that they don't mind if there's some inconsistency. Like, what if the Vulpera join the Horde in 8.3 and then the mechagnomes join in 8.3.5? It's possible.
Does that mean we're going to be torn apart?
You're already playing as Alliance, Bob.
Oh, I am. Well, f*** you, Horde cuck.
And now it's time for the What of the Week, when I cherry pick a comment from the World of Warcraft, or just gaming in general, and I'm like, what? This week's comment came from someone who I'm not even going to identify because he's just sick. But he did say the following in a tweet. Mobile gamers aren't real gamers. What? This is a troll statement, through and through. It's designed to get folks at home and on the toilet all fired up, get them fighting amongst themselves, gibbering and jabbering, all while mentioning that the original poster, it's that sort of thing. But there are people who buy into this mindset meaningfully, and I'm just like, what? I get that there's an anti-movement out there. It's those folks who rail against the mobile gaming industry and some of their dubious tactics of how they take advantage of people who have weak wills, but they definitely have credit cards. But come on, not real gamers? Like, what? You trying to tell me that a person who is so in need of stimulation that even when they're outside, they have to be gaming, that they gotta get their fix, that they're not gamers? That Pokemon, which debuted on the Game Boy, isn't gaming, but the console Pokemon games, which is a simulator about running around and catching monsters, is gaming. But again, Pokemon Go, the version where you're actually running around and catching monsters, isn't gaming. I mean, true story, this coming Sunday, I'm going to this thing with my wife. It's a certain location at a certain time. It's called an EX raid, where we're going to team up with strangers. That's like real life pugs, and we're gonna bury a Pokemon in balls like this, and that's not real gaming?
No, I just hate Pokemon, stupid game. Oh my god.
There's plenty more that I could say about that. Like, come on, people are getting traffic tickets because they're driving while they're on their phone, risking people's lives and their own so they can push buttons and shit. Now for a bit of WoW Classic news with some growing concerns about just how Classic is going to be received. A recent post by the creator of DBM addresses some of the calls for restricting the use of add-ons in Classic WoW, and to use the old 1.12 API to do this. But according to this post, this would actually have the opposite effect, because today's WoW API is in fact more restrictive, disallowing the use of potentially more exploitive add-ons that have been shut down throughout the years. Instead, the author asserts that it's simply the 15 years worth of community experience that have made add-ons much more sophisticated today, and that popular add-ons like weak auras could have existed back then given enough time and effort. I'm going to read just a portion of the summary here, but I strongly suggest reading the whole article, which I'm going to link in the description. Those of you stuck on things like add-ons and other nonsense will ruin your own experience. Those of you expecting to relive your mystery and think Molten Core is going to be the same as it was 15 years ago when we didn't know anything are going to be sorely disappointed. I'm telling you right now that a boss in a 40-man raid that puts a bomb on one target is just not going to be scary by today's standards. Nax 40 is another story, but even that isn't going to be as hard as any of you remember it, not with 15 years of time going into it. I've talked about the so-called industry of WoW numerous times. It's the platform of add-ons, content creators, and websites that are designed to help players keep their head above water, and despite the obvious hypocrisy, I've questioned whether it's helped to dilute the player experience. Yes, there's plenty of hatred towards cross-realm zones and the Dungeon Finder and LFR when it comes to watering down this sense of community. But at the same time, especially when it comes to providing helpful information, what's the point of trying to reach out to fellow players, hoping for the right answer when the energy put into typing out that request in chat can be better spent just running a Google search, and you're going to get faster and more reliable results. And at the same time, what's the point of answering these questions when you can just point them in the right direction, preferably away from you? I look at Wowhead these days and I see more and more and more articles about Classic WoW, from guides to best BOEs, feature explanations, other add-ons. I like Wowhead, but sometimes I gotta wonder to myself if sites like Wowhead do more harm than good, because with easy access to knowledge comes the expectation that this information is known, and that does things to the community. MMOs like Warcraft try to deliver an element of discovery and mystery. The other day I did some PTR testing and ran into some weird looking puzzle. I'm not going to show it here. It's not linked to any world quest, it's just a puzzle to open some chest with some goodies inside. But it felt cool because I discovered something in some cave that I didn't read about anywhere else. It wasn't identified in some add-on, nothing like that. I just felt like an explorer and it was nice. Wowhead, add-ons, whatever, it's all optional, of course. We could always not look at it. We could always not install the add-ons, but we could also do the same thing today. Like, we can turn off the objective tracking in the map, in the mini-map. We can shut off the add-ons. We can choose to not hop onto our flying mounts. But the industry of WoW isn't here just because. It's a product of demand that we may or may not share, but it's here. Someone once said that players will take the path of least resistance. We're going to see this quote be put to the test once again. The other day, Kotaku published an article about streamers' involvement in Classic WoW, which I found pretty interesting and I wanted to share it here. As you probably already know, many of Classic WoW's most prolific and popular supporters were invited into the WoW Classic beta, as well as me.
Another awful Blizzard decision.
The article cites concerns from players who want to actively avoid choosing a realm where a streamer is, specifically to not be in the presence of those fans who could be directed by their streamer to unleash hell upon the populace, razing capitals to the ground, disrupting economies, and otherwise ruining the experience for others. Or at least that's the fear, right? But fear is a very powerful tool. Elsewhere on the Classic WoW subreddit was a brief flash of anti-streamer posts detailing plans to disrupt the streamers themselves by stealing their signature names the week before Classic WoW launches, pooling copper together to steal guild names, or outright griefing both streamers and their supporters by disrupting quest hubs and camping on PvP servers. I know that I would be just a little bit concerned too, like I'd be pretty annoyed to see XYZ streamers zip by followed by a legion of players who are all trying to get in on his or her stream because something celebrity fandom.
But SoulSoBreezy needs not concern himself with disruptive followings.
Yeah, thanks for the reassurance, dick. Streamer communities are going to be a new thing to encounter in Classic WoW, even though they probably existed somewhere in private servers. This is on a different scale. So when folks like Asmongold and Sodapoppin embrace the sense of community to be found in Classic, it's hard to deny that, especially when you are in fact famous and you're never alone like some people. Anyway, I get wanting to avoid streamers, but I'm mostly here to say don't do the whole griefing thing, okay? It's not going to end well for anybody, and it's just going to make the overall experience and the mood of Classic WoW feel spoiled, so just don't be dicks, yeah? A series of images have been making the rounds on the internet from an alleged Blizzard survey. In it are questions that strongly suggest that there will be, in fact, a level squish in the near future. I'm going to withhold my judgment or speculation as to whether or not this is going to happen in the next expansion or the next major update. The point is that this is part of a much bigger conversation that goes into the World of Warcraft's greatest vulnerability, which is handling class development in an ever-expanding MMO. We've seen that over the years, WoW has been pretty haphazard in preserving the experience of class growth with multiple revamps while using top-heavy systems, aka expansion features, that only exist within that expansion really, leaving players to feel like when they go into the next expansion, they leave the previous one empty-handed. I've talked about this a few months back when the level squish conversation was part of a Q&A, and I'm going to reiterate some of my feelings. I'm gonna regret this, but Bob, how do you feel about a stat squish?
I think it hurts.
Huh. In my most humble badass opinion, I feel that a level squish should only be like one step. Not even the first one, but just one step in a series of many changes that's designed to repair the whole class progression experience in the world of Warcraft. I do agree with Blizzard that talent trees are pretty superficial and they wouldn't have been sustainable over 7+ expansions, let alone 10 or 15 or a million. But I also disagree with Blizzard that talent rows were ever a good idea, like at any point of its lifetime. But there's a line to cross. Like, what if we lived in a world of talent points, glyphs, gems, and enchants that you can have in almost every slot, reforging, spell ranked, hit and expertise, defense rating, and other similar features? I doubt that there would be an outcry of,
"Oh my god, Blizz, give us less things to maintain."
but there'd more than likely be like this silent grumbling over optimizing every single time that you get some gear upgrade. I know that I would find it super obnoxious, but that's beside the point. We don't live in that sort of world. If a level squish did happen, but it was accompanied by no other changes, well, what do we get? Today, if I were to gain 5 levels, I get 1 ability, for example.
Blizz, it's dumb for gaining a level and getting nothing for it.
But tomorrow, if I gain 1 level and then I got 1 ability, but the time that it took to get that is the same as before, what actually changes?
Blizz, it's taking forever to get a level. This is dumb.
I'm pretty confident that a majority of players aren't going to feel like that, but you bet that someone's going to be saying it. Because a level squish is nothing but psychological. It changes our perception of progression, cool, but instead of just changing our perception, I strongly suggest changing progression altogether. I think I had a pretty decent idea where we scrap the talent system and give WoW something that's a nudge towards a Diablo 3-like system of taking the individual abilities and giving them an assortment of enhancements to choose from to re-identify its identity. It opens the door for a lot of customization without overwhelming us with forcing new buttons to press every expansion. On top of that, go ahead with the expansion gimmicks, the artifacts, and the Azeroths, and then take some of the cool stuff from there and turn those into more customization options in the next expansion. So for example, the Heartforge is coming in 8.2. What if, in 9.0, we can customize one of our signature abilities to be infused with a version of these essences? That way there's a sense of growth, picking up new enhancements to our abilities as a legacy as we move from one era to the next. That's just like the bare bones thing of one idea. I'm just trying to introduce some sort of inspiration, but there are still some very lofty goals for Blizzard to hit. They've got to make a system that follows Ian's philosophy of wanting to make something that's designed for the long term. If talent trees do end up being what they decide on and it happens to be a good thing, then hey, I got nothing to complain about, go talent trees. But notice I didn't say a damn thing about the level squish. If it were to happen along with a big revamp over class progression, I'm sure there's going to be friction over the principle of change. Yes, I've made that critique myself, but I know that I'd get over it. I'd have faith that for the most part, players would just get used to it after a while. But if a squish happens and literally that's it, I would find that to be a huge waste of time.
Haha, a waste of time.
So that's the show, and as always, it has been a pleasure serving you today. 8.2 in Season 3 is around a very big corner, so I wanted to smush together all my experiences from testing out the PTR and answer a question that's being asked right now. Is it worth coming back for patch 8.2? I'm going to do my best to answer that question by sharing my experiences, but the rest, of course, is going to be up to you. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, show some love, man, and subscribe to the channel because my sub number is intrinsically linked to my self-esteem. Don't forget to give a listen to my first episode of the Prisoner of Warcraft series,
where he talks smack about classic WoW.
No, I don't. Mostly. But check it out, and I'll see you later. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.